I love Indian food. It's what I consider my soul food, my home food. Simply having been here so long. Sometimes when I'm abroad in other countries, I'll seek out Indian restaurants.
Oh, really?
And really look for the dosas and the parathas and the curries. Why?
Seek to understand the context and the environment that people are in. We all come from a context. We all come from some framework or worldview that shapes how we interpret situations and how we work with others. So I was very curious, of course, coming to India to understand more about the culture, more about the festivals, why are these being celebrated. And I think one resource that was extremely valuable for me was I picked up a book called The Indian Epics Retold. It's a modern language interpretation or version of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. To understand the largest culture in India is Hindu culture. So having that context of Hindu culture helped me to understand a lot, also the festivals, the celebrations, and where they come from, what their context is, but also provided some cultural context. One thing I found is that people are really helped by analogies. We can make a connection of an idea or a concept to some context that they're already aware of or that they're already part of, then that enables them to understand it more deeply.
If you've not been to the country you're moving to, there's still the stereotypes that are there.
Yeah.
And those stereotypes can be scary still, and much of like when we were moving to India, we had those stereotypes and not all of them were changed. Some of them are valid stereotypes, but you have to look past that and you have to see the beautiful culture that is there. And I know Colombia has it, India has amazing culture. It's been, changed my life spiritually and personally. I feel like I'm a better person. And this is where I learned how to be more, show empathy. I feel that has grown with me, my biggest personal change.
It's not what I want to remember from that's not my main takeaway. Because we are so spoiled here. I have help at home, I have a driver, if I'm cooking at night and I'm missing an ingredient, I go and big basket, and 5 minutes later it's at my door, the apps, and everything is so convenient, and you can find these things that are shown TV about India. People will show the worst because it's what
sense.
It's what sense most people want to see, but it's not the truth. Like there is a middle class that's India is growing. India is like the opportunities, the beauty, the
opportunity.
No, because it's actually quite safe to come here in expat. Life is good. Our kids are going to amazing schools. We live in beautiful apartments. We are spoiled. We are truly, we can only be grateful for what we have because the weather is amazing. We go, all winter we go. We can't complain. We can go at the Ritz and have brunch, and it costs as much money as going at the restaurant in France. So this should be well known. People should do that.
After 14 and a half, I got the chance to move to Italy, and then after Italy, I came to India first time, and then moved to Sweden. Came back to India, so second time. I went back to Belgium, was a short time in US, back in Belgium, and then here we are, the third time back in India. So in total, indeed, 15 years of expat, and of which 11 years in India.
But yeah, for me in India, I love how there's regions, and in every region, the clothes are different, the dances are different, the music is different, and that experience can change no matter where you travel in India. The languages are different. How many languages you have in India? A lot. 21 languages.
Yeah, a lot.
To me, that's like mind-blowing to me, how small really India is, but how big and large and wide the cultures are. I love that. I love that about India. I fear that India is going to lose a lot of it
Really?
as you become Western.
Coming from a Western person, wow. I mean, I hope not.
I hope not too, really, because it's beautiful. Yeah. But you think about the younger generation, and it's harder and harder to get them to know the dances, to know Sanskrit. You know, like
That's true.
there's a lot of
Cultural aspect.
cultural history that is being lost as India westernizes.
That's true. Something to think about.
Here in India also you don't really need it. Normally you can do everything in English, but then I think it's always appreciated when you speak the local language. And that's not only in India, that's in every country where you are. If you speak a few words, sentences in the local language and you make some efforts, whether it's in the restaurant, whether it's in that office, to speak some, I think people always appreciate it. And it's like, yeah, sometimes it's a big gap, but if you speak, it closes immediately the gap. That's what I feel. And in the beginning, of course, in India, we talk about TK and HR, which means like very good. But over time, you understand a bit more, and I think I think it's for me, I think it's quite important in the integration that you at least are open to learn a bit of the local language. You don't have to be fluent, you don't have to be level 3, 4, 5, no. But at least a few words, I think it's always appreciated, that's for sure.
And is that also with food?
I think every country will appreciate that you like the local food, but for me, in India, it's maybe the most of all countries. Here people really, when they ask you, do you like the food, it's like something very close to their heart is the food for India.
I think a lot. India has a huge potential. It's developing market, and in the past few years, and I think in the next 5 years, in the sense of investment and business, India would be booming, more than even China or any other place right now, because how India, it's like when you see the economic growth, how fast is it, in the sense also of mutual funds and any other investment, it's the go-to-go country. And especially after COVID, people prefer more to go to India than to China, for instance, right? Now you do have the resources, India has the resources to offer, and also the labor is cheaper. Plus people speak English more than in any other place, right? So India has a lot to offer compared to Europe. Europe doesn't have that much to offer right now than India, right? So most of the established companies or emerging markets would go to India, because why not? I mean, it's the booming market right now. It's the right choice to go for many reasons, That would be another topic for another hour.
Now, in terms of resilience, because this expat life is so easy compared to a normal life that we would have in France, that a lot of things, I don't know if we are helping them in that sense, we are trying to educate them, but a lot of things that they haven't faced themselves, right? It's easy, especially in India, the level of service is so high. Yeah. You have a maid, you have a cook, and eventually you are close to them, and you get, whatever. Every time they come back from school, every day, everything is perfectly clean, ready. Not sure my kids are the most resilient person yet, and we want to compensate that. We want to teach them, right? Especially a father like me who would protect them, right? Easily, I would have the tendency to protect them.
And on many ways, I see it also with the employer brand. When I worked in Amsterdam, I was doing a lot of employer branding, but differently. It's very, very easy to handle in the Netherlands. People tend to have a very flat way of communicating. They are straightforward. So these things come quite naturally. Here, when I started to apply this directness, very quickly I saw that people would perceive me as very rude. So you have to do it differently. You have to integrate the same thing, but your approach needs to be different.
Okay, there's something that you prepare mentally before you move.
No, I am very intuitive, so I don't really think about these things in detail. It's never like you planned it. Things are never the way you expect them to be. In India, what I've learned is like you have to be very cautious with the cultural sensitivities, to be more gentle. When I worked in the Netherlands, it was like a motivating factor to tell someone, this is not good, you can do better. It's pretty well accepted. So, okay, I'll do something better. But yeah, it's not accepted at all.
Advice is very simple. For India, I think it's underrated. India has a lot to offer. People are afraid to come to India or have an idea. They think they know, but they don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, and also when you come here, and it's true for any other country, don't come with all your knowledge and your habits, and try to be a little bit ready or ready to learn, ready to discover, ready to and to enjoy something different, right? So I guess coming to India is not as you would think it would be, right? It's easy.
Stereotypes of around India is quite a lot.
Sorry?
The stereotypes around
Yes.
India. is
Oh
quite a
yes.
lot.
And then you discover that people are nice. And most of the people here are nice, right? Are easy. You don't have the issue that I can see sometimes in France in the street. It's easier. Even so, it's very busy, right? At work, you will see some very good talent and very hard worker. Also, once in a while, someone is like, yeah, the disease, but
Yeah, I've seen that.
right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we get attached to India, right? Much more than what we thought. So it's easy to fall in love with India. And India, in terms even of if you don't like people, you will love the country, because Rajasthan and Goa and Kerala
Beautiful
and
places.
islands are amazing, right? So I would say, if you have an opportunity, don't miss it.
For India and in general as well, you would suggest that
For India and in general for expatriation, yes, I would say, yes, it's an experience to live for sure. It will probably change your life. Yeah.
So I'm involved with Beti Cycle in the state north of here, in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad, and we've just done a pilot project. So I contacted Pragni Mohan, and I said, I've done all this work in the UK past 10 years. I'm quite experienced in recycling bicycles. So the local community in Ahmedabad is where we're working. The idea is that girls who are in 10th standard, a lot of them drop out of education in rural areas, and the idea is that we provide them with a mode of transport, because that is the reason that people drop out of school. 5 kilometres. Our idea is that we intervene. We say, here's a bicycle, and we'll teach you to ride it, we'll teach you to fix it, we'll give you tools to fix it at school and at home, and then you can continue with your education.
The Latin community in the country now. So we bring different things for them. I mean, for example, 2 years ago, I think we were one of the first in the country, not even in the city, to bring a lot of Peruvian flavors, right? But it also helps because, you know, I'm part of Soy Como Soy, which is a Nikkei cuisine, and we were using it in our menu. But I think I was one of the only ones in the country that started bringing in Peruvian ingredients. And now we're shifting a little bit towards Mexican, you know. So these flavors are all coming back in India. A lot of new restaurants are opening across India when it comes to Mexican, Nikkei, Japanese infusions with, you know, Peruvian. So it's fun times in India right now. The reason I say it's fun times because now we're doing really well as a nation. You know, there's a lot of disposable income all over the place. People enjoy, you know, eating a lot.
And international food.
And international food. So it's actually today.
It's a good time.
I'm happier in my business. I was really happy then, but I'm even happier now because as locals, as Indian community, we're also enjoying different flavors now.
The big aha moment for me, and actually this was covered by the class, was time orientation. There's one of the aspects that different cultures have is how they interact with time. And some cultures are there are different extremes of the spectrum, right? There's a spectrum of where we land on that. And some cultures are very time oriented, where everything is driven by the clock. If the clock says I need to be somewhere, then I'm going to stop whatever I'm doing and I'm going to move on to that other thing.
Right.
and then I'm going to jump into that because that's driving my behavior. Others are more relational and less time oriented. And so if a meeting or a conversation is taking longer than expected, and we just adjust accordingly. So this I understand conceptually, and I saw it in simple behaviors. It was easy to tell, well, people would arrive late to a meeting where I would consider late to a meeting because they were finishing another conversation. So these things I could understand and I could make an adjustment. I think those permeate the society, and those are something that only by experiencing it can you really understand and get used to.
So all I know is that there are places on this planet where I feel more at home, more at ease, more in tune with the culture. I know how things work. I know, life is easy and familiar. More in some places than in others. And for me, that happens to be India. I feel most at home here, most welcome here. Even though I really don't look Indian at all, I feel like I'm so connected to this culture from a young age, having grown up in a school that was overseen, if you like, by an Indian spiritual master. So from a young age, I was taught meditation, and we had a lot of Eastern influences in our readings. So I do feel like this is somehow my home. I feel more at home in India than I do in Germany, UK, or Spain.
One of the resources that I really found extremely powerful was a book by Joseph Rennie and some other authors. It's called Change Everything. It's a book that's based on personal change. From that, I was able to use this to facilitate changes in my organization. And the analogy that I gave to an Indian audience was a scenario where you're riding in a rickshaw with you and the driver and 4 of your friends, and the rickshaw gets stuck in a pothole, and the rickshaw can't get out. Maybe one person jumps out of the rickshaw and starts pushing on the back of the rickshaw, try and get it out of the hole. Okay. And it's not successful, the hole's too deep. So the second person jumps out, and they also start pushing on the rickshaw. It's still not budging. So one by one, all 6 people get out of the rickshaw, and they incrementally keep pushing on the rickshaw. But surprisingly, still it doesn't move. And as you take a step back and look at the situation, you realize 3 people are pushing on the front of the rickshaw, trying to move it backwards, and 3 people are pushing on the back of the rickshaw, trying to move it forward. And this is what these 6 sources of influence are, right? They can either be pushing against what we're trying to do, or they can be pushing for what we're trying to do.
I'm just so happy for being a traveling voice actor, digital VOMAD. Having worked in professional post-production for many years, I also got a feeling for video editing and storytelling in general, sound design and coloring, all the arts that go into making a finished movie production. So 2 years back, I was in Goa, which is one of my bases, and I had a lot of material on my hard drive from many years of joining a crazy crew of motorcyclists. They call themselves meditation motorcyclists. Adventurous tours all over India, which is one of the best ways to get to know India as well, slowly going through the villages. Yeah, I collated a lot of material, and I thought, what kind of a movie could I make out of this? And it turned out to be a 9-minute short film available on YouTube as well. And it seemed to touch a lot of people, inspired people to come to India. At the end of the day, it's a love letter to India, a declaration of love. It was submitted many film festivals, many award categories, and it's won 40 or 41 so far. So it was supposed to simply be a little film made for fun for me and my crew. Thank you for watching the Rooted and Routed podcast. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you want to follow me on Insta, it's at Pavibes, Pavibes. And don't forget, very important, support this channel, like and subscribe, bottom left-hand corner. See you next time. Ciao.